Look around. Look at the person sitting next to you. Look at the impressive list of speakers we have for the day. Haven't you asked yourself, what does a successful German real estate company, the former head of the Israeli Secret Services, geeks like myself that are still playing Dungeons and Dragons, and a German bank to do together? It sounds like the beginning of a joke, all these people coming together in one room. But actually, this conference today, I hope we'll understand how current reality actually miraculously brought all these people together. Let me suggest one word that would try to explain the journey we're going to have today in the conference. Convergence. Convergence will be the word that would actually lead our journey today. What is convergence? Is that entities are coming together. Things that seem to be separated are coming together. Let's speak about convergence in innovation. We're at an exciting time where dichotomies we tend to believe in collapse. Think about it. We learned that there is no military innovation and civil innovation, and we used to think before. It's not about open innovation or closed, stealth innovation. It's no longer about governmental funding or public funding of innovation and private funding, or large corporates innovation, which is slow and a lot of bureaucracy, or agile innovation of small teams and startups. Actually, we're at a time when we see that they are coming together. There are synergies of models of innovation, benefiting the competitive advantage and competitive edges of each model. There are different models. It's very different the way that the startups have innovation and the way that the large corporate and certainly the military is doing innovation. But they come to realize that actually working together, you can benefit from the advantages of each model. So combinations that seems impossible just short ago, starting to realize. We're starting to see the Israeli Secret Services starting an open innovation program. Think about this kind of like oxymoron. The Israeli Secret Services is opening an open innovation program with startups hosted by the university. We see actually large corporate, established corporate setting innovation team to scout for startups that may replace their legacy product. That actually they're kind of like depend on a startup to change their model. We see professors like my colleagues in Tel Aviv University taking a leave after giving our presentation to our students and writing business models for startups, starting to think about our research as something that can be applied. However, these new combinations, which are exciting and certainly create a new energy, also create challenges that we are just now starting to understand. Challenges like combined IP. Have we ever thought about IP that is being developed by the military together with a startup? How do we merge or combine IP? Issues like funding partners that have actually conflicting incentive structure. The large corporate, the VC, and the government have very different incentive structures. Openness versus secrecy. We thought about large corporates as holding their trade secrets, certainly about the military holding secret national security. And now finally they need to actually open up. There's a conflict between openness and secrecy. There's also a lot of sensitivity. What about dual technologies, like encryption that we'll be using for military services and banking, but also for gaming or entertainment? How do you actually deal with these, what we call dual technology, dual use? And also there's a different time span and different actually time scale. When I was a founder of a startup, we had money to live for 12 months. That's kind of like what we could live. But we were trying to partner with a large corporate that was designing their product for 5 years in the future. How do you actually combine these conflicting timelines? All these challenges we're just starting now to realize. And more so, we are in a time when we have something we call co-petition. We are cooperating and competing at the same time. We create bridges between different industries that never thought of themselves as cooperating or competing. But actually, if you look at this, there are two dominant factors, technology and business factors, that made this happen. And here I'll talk about technology convergence. Core technologies that just now matured are actually ready to be applied. But the same technology can be applied in very different industries. It's just a matter of application. Think, for example, of computer vision. Computer vision is at the core of national security when we're trying to analyze terror threat, but it's also at the core of autonomous cars, and it's also at the core of a lot of the gaming experience that we have with Kinect or others. Same with NLP. The same systems that analyze large text can be applied for intelligence, analyzing large corpus of data, or can be at the same time used for education or for advertising. One more factor. Why this convergence is happening? Because data is at the center. And people presentation of the data is the same building block. Regardless if the one that using the data is aimed to sell you something, to spy on you, or to better serve your needs as you go along your day. And this also leads to the third convergence between the physical and the virtual environments. We tend to think of the physical environment as separated from the virtual, but actually now with data they merge. The virtual environment is merging with the physical environment, and on the same platform, we have the real estate company of the office you come in the morning, but also your e-commerce experience, gaming, your social network, all actually on the same platform of data where the individual and the digital representation of the individual are actually shared between these entities. The individual and the data about him, his relationship, his interests, his profile, his assets, all actually coming on the same platform and being accessible to players from different industries and from different markets. So all this leads to the fascinating mixtures we'll see today in this conference, where we'll observe models of innovation coming from different organizations, military service, secret services, academia, large corporates and small startups, coming one single tissue of innovation, global tissue of innovation. And in this merger, also we see the same development infrastructure and the same data infrastructure. And banks try to think how actually they're competing with startups, but not only that, how they merge actually into the larger picture. In our journey today, I asked a fellow to join me, a friend. It will be Mr. Q. I don't know if you remember Mr. Q. Mr. Q is the gadget developer for James Bond. He's responsible for Branch Q, actually creating innovation for the secret agent. And in our journey today, I would use Mr. Q and Branch Q to give us a little bit of a lesson about the 3 points we talked about. The changing model of innovation, core technologies and how they be applied, and also how physical and virtual merge together. And since we'll have the real Mr. Q with us today, wait for the surprise, we'll be able to use Mr. Q and his wisdom to lead our journey. Thank you very much.